Hey climbers, and welcome back to the Treehouse. My name's Ree and this is the Tarot Tree, and today's video we have something quite special, a very special deck for many different reasons, but without further ado, let's have a look at what we're going to be taking a look through today. I thought I'd do a little bit of a walkthrough and a first impressions of the amazing Forest of Enchantment Tarot by Lunea Weatherstone and illustrated by Morella Allwood. How beautiful is this deck, guys? And it's such a special deck, and just even more so by the fact that this was actually gifted to me by one of our lovely fellow tarot tubers here on YouTube, and that is the lovely Sandi from Exploring Tarot. Thank you so much again, Sandi. Honestly, what a beautiful, thoughtful, generous thing to do. It really took me aback when she contacted me and asked, you know, if I'd be willing to accept this gift from her. She felt called to send it my way, and I just, you know, I had to receive that graciously. It's a deck that I really had my eye on for a long time, and I've spoken to a few of you here about. Neha from the Curated Shelf. I know that this is another deck that you kind of brought to my attention as well. I love this animal energy, I love the artistry, and to have someone just say, you know what, I think it'll be up your alley, have it. It's just the most wonderful thing, and it came at such a kind of, you know, a point where I needed, you know, a bit more of a comforting, cozy deck, which this definitely feels like to me, quite magical. So I feel like there was something in it for it to come my way at this time. So thank you again so much, Sandi, honestly. And for you guys that are not familiar with Sandi, check her out. She's a great new addition to TarotTube. Fantastic channel, such soothing aura, such soothing energy, and such beautiful taste in decks, and amazing at exploring them in depth also. And she's doing a series on this at the moment, so we can all follow through, as this is going to be my latest study deck. Now I'm done with the Witch's Wisdom. I'm definitely going to be going through those with the deck now, but as you'll see, I haven't even opened it yet. It's just so special, so let's do it together, guys. So yeah. Oh, first and foremost, we get this lovely big book. Now I've heard a lot sang, like a lot many a praise sung about this book, so I am very intrigued 100% with that. And yep, here we have the cards. As you can see, are still sealed. Let's see if maybe we need to zoom this in or not. I'm not sure yet. Let's have a look. Gosh, guys, got this new camera set up. It's like the camera's just veering off to different sides if I just knock this. Oh, I don't know. I have to get a bit used to it. I might have to go back to the original, but we'll see. But yeah, let's have a look. Why not? Let's unseal these. If I can actually see how to do this. Okay, I'm sure there's a tab here. Oh God, I should just skip this bit. I'm not like, you know, gracious enough to do ASMR with this. Okay, so we already have, right off the bat, a deviation, which is very interesting. We have this, the White Heart, as, I'm guessing, the Fool card. I could be wrong. This is interesting, so it is going to warrant some study, but like I said, check out Sandi's videos on this. She's doing a series at Exploring Tarot. I'll definitely put the links in the description, guys. Let's see. Okay, we have a key here. That's good. Yes, it's meant to be the Fool. Interesting. I love it. It's going to be so interesting to dive into why this is the Fool. So we have this sort of stag energy here, which is interesting because it's not like a young energy, which we normally associate with the Fool. This is almost a fully grown kind of deer here, which is very interesting, though it could be adolescence. But it does look as though they're stepping out of the enchanted forest, which I find very interesting. So we do definitely get that sense of maybe this creature wants to step out of its comfort zone and just, you know, is looking with its eyes fixed straight ahead, you know, into new horizons, which is very Fool-like energy. I really love that it's rounded, by the way. Oh, guys, and look at the backs. Owls, one of my favorite animals. Can't go wrong with that. The White Heart. So they've definitely been renamed. We can see that for sure. Do we need to zoom in a bit more, maybe? do you guys think? Can you see it okay? That should do, I think. Next up we have the Wise Woman. Okay. It's very interesting. There's a lot of druidy kind of energy off this deck, which I love. I do have an affinity for that sort of practice and part of history, to be honest. Apparently I was a druid in a past life when I had a past life reading, so that was quite funny. I can see why. A lot of earthy energy. I'm loving all the greens. I'm really looking forward to using this. It looks like, is she doing a reading? It's very interesting because we don't get the... I've missed one, haven't I? Yes, I have. The cards are stuck together. I'm just looking like, two? Where did one go? We missed our magician out. Okay, sorry, magician. The enchanter. Oh, look at him. He looks like Merlin. Yes. We definitely get that magician energy of him, like a classic magician from a kind of fairy tale. I love that. This deck definitely has fairy tale energy, and I'm all about that because, mind you, Sandi did tell me that I was coming back in print. The Fairy Tale Tarot, guys, by Lisa Hunt. I've been eyeing that up for a long time. I feel like we may have some of that energy here, which is really great. Oh, it's so storytelling, this deck. I love it. I love a deck that has a story to tell. And look at him. He's conjuring up these trees that he's making with his alchemy and his magic. And we see his study and all these kind of symbols of that kind of magicianhood. Even with the nod with the owl in the back again. I love that. And now to our High Priestess, the Wise Woman. Ah. Oh, you know, I just realised we do get that dual energy here. The two paths, a bit like Beauty and the Beast. You've got the sort of shadow side and the lighter path. But that's not to deny that that's the bad path to go down to. But it's to say she's in touch with both. And she may be doing a reading on the dead actually here. She has bones here, so that's very interesting. She definitely has that energy of being in between two realms, which I definitely think speaks to the High Priestess. I love that. We have the Green Mother now. Definitely Empress energy. How more Empress can you get? We've got that mothering energy, that Mother Nature basically embodied energy here. Because not only have we got this child that is of her own ilk, it's like she's looking after all the creatures of the forest here too. We have them all surrounding her, a bit like a Snow White figure. We've got the squirrels, hedgehogs, hares, rabbits, birdies, everyone. I love it. The Green Mother, that's amazing. Beautiful kind of tattoo shapes on her too. The Forest Lord, yeah, that's very Emperor energy, isn't it? Definitely with the sort of stag. We have the boar, you know, that's a very stubborn energy. Powerful energy, in control energy. He's this sort of, what was I going to say? Mr. Tumnus. What type of creature is he? He's like half goat. We don't get that. He is full man here, kind of, except for the antlers. But, you know, he's sitting in this wise old tree. I imagine it to be an oak for some reason. You know, he's very grounded. He's very ready, you know, to do, very confident. His whole demeanour is relaxed but confident. I like that. Definitely a leader about him. And I mean, he's the Lord of the Forest, so he's definitely worked his way up. Okay, the oldest one. Oh, why does this remind me of the tree from Pocahontas? Like the Mother Nature. That's so sweet that we have the Hierophant painted in this way, like the ancient wisdom of trees. I really like that. Because this is an old one as well, all the rings, you know, denoting this age. She just looks like some, really like she could tell you some amazing stories, right? Oh, I love that. Definitely gives me that Pocahontas vibe. That, oh, I feel like watching that again. It's been a long time since I've seen that film. We've even had the nod, like there's even more baby owls in here with that, you know, denoting the wisdom that can get passed down. And I like that it's giving it back to nature now. What we can learn if you go back to the earth. I really feel like this is the reason why this deck's come into my life right now, actually, because that is something I'm really trying to get into and kind of immerse myself in again as a means for healing. I've been getting so many messages to do that in different ways in recent months, and it's interesting that this deck is nodding to that as well. Get out in nature, man. Feel the healing kind of possibilities and powers of being around trees and flowers and being grounded. I mean, we are magnetic beings. We need to be, you know, in touch with the earth. The Lovers, that's beautiful, because I love that they both have a bow and arrow. It's like that equality there, but they're just having their downtime after hunting together. That's pretty sweet. That really is sweet. Definitely get that sort of romantic and soulmate vibe from this, but also just that partnership, which is really key to the Lovers also. I'm trying to see if I can see an element of choice here. I can, because there could be a story behind these two characters, you know. Maybe they're stealing a moment here to be together. That's interesting. Oh, I could create a whole story for this deck just by looking at a few images. That's great. It probably has its own. I have to really look through the book and get back to my studies. Well, start my studies with it fully and go Sandi's videos again. That would be helpful. So what we have here, we have the fairy wind. Very interesting. So this is the Chariot. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Very fast moving energy. It's almost like they are going with the wind. The leaves are blowing. It's very, you can see it's all about direction. I love that it's split up into several beings as well. It's not just one. We even have the bird there donating more flight energy. That's really interesting. That's beautiful. It's like you want to almost see where is it that they're going. So it definitely gives you that kind of, you know, I feel like the Chariot should always be a card that galvanizes you, you know. See your direction, go forward. This makes you want to go forward because you want to see where they're going. I like that. Again, the warning of the Chariot is maybe hold your horses. Like this one's looking back, are we sure we know where we're going? So it's got both those energies. I appreciate that. That's really cool. Now we've got back to strength, and we have this Red Riding Hood character who's tamed the wolf, which is really interesting. I love that they've made this her cape or the blanket red, because it really gives us a nod to that fairy tale, I think. Maybe a sort of alternative, because this could almost be the grandmother and the wolf, or the combination of both, you know, how the wolf pretends to be the grandmother. That's interesting. Embodying these soft and fierce sides of ourselves, especially as women or as people who really identify with their more feminine aspects, I guess, and that feminine energy. That's really interesting. I like that. I always like that strength. Isn't it great? Like even from such, you know, from the Rider-Waite days, how long ago that was painted. I mean, maybe it's a nod to the fact that it was a female illustrator, but isn't it nice to have a female depicting strength? Because usually you would have thought, you know, even at that time, they would have probably put a man, wouldn't it? That'd be interesting. I like to get more familiar with what the trees are in this, because I don't know if there is going to be tree language or Ogham in this. That'd be interesting. Could just be me just adding a layer to things, but it looks beautiful nonetheless. The flowers here are really interesting. That vulnerability, I really do like it. And she seems very happy as well that she's tamed this, or she's integrated this part of herself, I want to say. That's cool. We have a hermit. What better animal than a badger? That's pretty cool. Oh, this really takes me to what is it? Oh, what is that show called? It used to creep me out a bit when I was younger, with the frog, toad, the badger. Oh my goodness gracious, how is that? Literally, the name has escaped me. You know what I'm talking about. This is what it's bringing me. And also, there was this TV show that my brother used to watch. He's a bit younger than me, called The Fimbles. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but there was this badger character. Oh, actually, he might have been a mole. He could have been a mole, but he looked a bit badgery as well. And he used to live underneath, and I loved the set of what his house was. It was so cool. I love this though, because he seems like a writer and a reader, and he's got a little bit of wine there. He's just, you know, he's in his own world. He's studying, he's taking like stock of everything that he's learned, having some me time. That's very hermit energy, you know. It's not idle energy, I don't think the hermit energy is. It's just that solace and kind of thinking things over. I like that. The Enchanter's Wheel. Oh, we have magpies, the little bastards. I swear, I don't know if it's part of being Irish, we're quite superstitious people. And there are a lot of magpies in my area, but for a long time one was following me, and I don't know if you guys know the age-old rhyme. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told. And I can't remember if I just made up the rest that go with that, or there is a whole other, you know, countdown there. But here we are, 3 for a girl. Interesting. But I digress. Magpies. Interesting, very interesting bird to choose for this, actually. Change. I guess with that poem, you know, things change, whether for the best, better, or the worse. Usually this means for the best, so that's cool. I like that it's almost like their nest, and they've got keys, but you know, we all know they love shiny things, don't they? That's really interesting. I like that. And again, we seem to have this nod to different seasons, actually. I've just realised with the different plants, holly, and then we have more spring flowers here. I like that. I always love when nature is incorporated in the Wheel of Fortune, the changing seasons. Okay, next up we have the Huntsman, who, if I am not mistaken, refers to justice in this deck. Interesting. Justice. It's so interesting because he's here with the arrow on one side, but he's got like Bambi and his mum to the other side, which is a bit ominous because they look quite happy with him. I guess he might be a nod to just like the sort of circle of life, but also maybe more of a huntsman of old who is more respectful of the life that he took. You know, there's all in balance, and I think I sort of see that with justice sometimes too. That's interesting. Everything in balance. I like that. Not taking what you don't need. Like, so if he's not hungry, he's not going to just hunt them. You know, if he's not going without, he's going to leave them be. That's interesting. That's a very interesting character for justice. Next we have suspension. This is so cool. Oh wow, this is the Hanged Man, and it's like this figure is kind of enclosed in the sap of an ancient tree, and oh my goodness, it just reminds me of amber, which I absolutely adore, and I really would like a big specimen with something prehistoric in it at some point in my life. If anyone knows where I can get good amber from, let me know. I've found it fascinating since childhood. I know it's not technically a crystal, but to have something so prehistoric and wonderfully kind of elemental is just, I love it. I have a little piece, I think, from when I was a child, but I haven't got any more since, so I'm going to have to see if it's possible. But yes, we do get that Hanged Man state, you know. It's interesting that we have the dragonfly here as well. I don't know why, the dragonfly is taking me back to sort of one of my other decks, animal decks, and what that deck gave it as like a very creative kind of force. It's almost like that, building that kind of creativity and stuff back up in your Hanged Man state, seeing like almost like an artist's, like where you need to take a step back to see how you can move forward. That's interesting. That's very interesting for the Hanged Man. When is he going to come, you know, when is he going to re-emerge? Is he going to fall out of this sap soon, or is it going to be millennia from now? Who knows? Maybe he's a caveman. I love that. It's such a beautiful card as well. I just love all that energy, that sacral energy. I think that's where I'm getting the creativity from too. And we need those pauses and sacrifices in life sometimes. So next up, we have the Black Shuck. Interesting. I remember Neha from the Creator's Shelf giving quite an interesting perspective on this card, because she kept getting it coming up for her. This dog, I'm pretty sure, is it part of Celtic lore? Or is it in a few cultures? Could it be in Japanese as well? Or is that just because I've seen an anime that draws on Celtic lore? All I know is, yes, death. I can see why. These are the dogs that are meant to kind of prowl around graveyards, right? And cemeteries. Interesting. Kind of like a banshee dog, isn't it? Look at his red eyes. Bloody terrifying. But yeah, I think they may chaperone the dead. I could be wrong. Obviously, I'll have to read this book. But wow, that's a really good take on death, you know. It really does confront you, but at the same time, I know it's a hound, and hounds can be scary, but they are loyal companions. If you were going to be met with any animal to take you to the other side, a nice loyal dog, I'd be up for that. Death, that transformation, I like that element because he's sort of a supernatural being as well, so that speaks to stepping into something and seeing the unseen, which is quite interesting. And that's what death and transformation and change can do for us, which is a positive, I think. So let's see, yeah, we can even see the gravestones actually. I don't know if you can really see because it's a bit of a shiny card, I've just noticed here. Like in a really old graveyard. Oh, fantastic places. I know it sounds a bit macabre to say, but some of the best wildlife kind of sanctuaries you will find, really, especially in the UK where I'm from. We have some really beautiful cemeteries that are actually quite beautiful places to go and kind of just have a bit of solace sometimes. Yeah, I digress. Next up we have the forge, and that speaks to temperance. I love that. We have the dwarves appearing, master craftsman. And what do you need to know if you need to make these things? You need to have the right temperature, you know, to make these strong metals. It seems like they're blacksmiths. That takes a lot of expertise, a lot of training. And although sometimes we see dwarfs as painted as quite impatient, quite aggressive little folk in a few different stories, namely Lord of the Rings sometimes, and even in some Snow White, you know, they are very, very, very good at keeping their cool to do things like this. And that's what temperance is all about, that balance, getting things right. And I love how we got that mixture of the fire energy and the water energy there for that tempering. Kind of nod with the dwarfs to remember to keep your temper as well, if we attach to certain characters we may know in popular culture. Next we have the liar. I love it. It's this Rumpelstiltskin looking character, so he is the devil. I like this, and I like that it's the liar. It's very plain as day. The devil lies to us, you know, even in, you know, if you want to go back to biblical times, you know, he's always trying to, what is the word, tempt you, you know. And this sort of Rumpelstiltskin looking character, he's always trying to do the same, isn't he, to people. Reminds me, what was that show called? Is it called Happy Ever After or something? I watched many of them. It's quite a good show. It's like where all the different Disney kind of characters, it's like live action though. The first few series are pretty good, and the Rumpelstiltskin character particularly, what is his name? He's a great actor. He was in The Full Monty. I forgot his name. Either way, a very interesting character, you know, especially as he develops over time. But yeah, he lies, you know, he tricks people, gets them into deals that, you know, they can't get out of by making them feel like they have a chance of winning. So I like that. You know, we have the snake on his, you know, what's holding him up. This snake's holding him up on this cane. You know, lies. His prestige is built on lies. Very interesting. I like that because he's a cheeky chappy as well. That allure of the devil is seen in this card too. What path is he going to lead you down, you know? Down the garden path as it was, you know? A mistake. Oh, and then that leads us to the folly. Beautiful. I love how this is going. It's flowing like a natural story. I like this. It's like we literally are winding our way through the enchanted forest. Enchanted? Went a bit northern there. The enchanted forest. And the folly, look, it's been struck by lightning. All these crows are coming out. They remind me of the birds of Sauron. I forgot they have a name and I forgot what it is. But it looks like at some point it was a beautiful kind of home or castle or church or something. But it's just destroyed now. Whatever was living here before had its time, and that time's gone, you know, and it looks like it was quite sudden, you know, this sort of lightning strike, and this is the aftermath. Very Tower-esque. I really do like that, and it's dead compared to what else is around it, because, you know, that's the sort of meaning for the tower. You need to kind of move on from this now. Look at, there's luscious life around you. That's the good reminder. I like that. All of the windows are broken, like, you know, your view here was distorted anyway, like it's shattered, let it go. That's really cool. Beautiful card, that. And also with the crows, you know, a lot of nod to wisdom, like, and seeing things clearly. You know, I like that. I had a lot of wisdom wrapped up in that one image. Starlight with a star. We have these elvish characters here sitting up in the trees looking at the stars. I always associate elves with healing energy. Obviously they're like magical creatures, magical beings that are, you know, way more advanced than us. And obviously I look to sort of books I'm very familiar with that have elves in, namely the Lord of the Rings, and they're always healers, you know. And that star energy is always healing to me. You know, it's all about making wishes, being hopeful, but it is about healing, and I like that that's kind of incorporated here. Also rising above, I like that they're nestled really high up in the trees, that, you know, even though if you were down below and all of these leaves were kind of marring your vision, as it were, like blocking your vision, if you can just elevate a little bit, have that little bit of faith, that little bit of hope, everything opens up for you in this canopy. And even the kind of opening is a star shape, which is really sweet. That's a beautiful card. It draws your eye up, this card, as well, from this perspective that is painted and drawn, which I like, because it almost makes you lift your head up when you're looking at the card, which is what you need to do when you get a star. You know, now is your time to kind of have a bit of faith, have a bit of hope. So I like that. Pinocchio's coming through now. Moonlight. Again, I love when the moon card is depicted with water in a deck. I love that the rabbits and hares are included as well. I know that that's a Japanese tale. I know that rabbits are associated with the moon. Is it in Japan? Is it just in Asian culture in general? I need to really be getting better at these, better at this, because I do love me some folklore from Asia, but you know, my memory's not always the best. So I do love that we have the rabbit and hare energy with the moon here as well. That's very interesting, because that does speak to the fear element that can come with the moon, actually. You know, that is an animal that is known for that, you know, that sort of anxiety about it, which is interesting. And how that can multiply so quickly if it's not kept in check. But I love that it's the reflection of the moon again to remind us of that notion of illusions, not things being things not appearing as they might seem on the surface, going into that subconscious, going into those fears, diving deep. It's fantastic. It reminds me I don't know if anyone's familiar with Noddy. Literally, these videos are just me like waxing lyrical about childhood nostalgic shows at this point, but Noddy was a great show when I was a kid, when it was the puppets. And there's this one episode where he's found the reflection of the moon in a pond, and he gets so anxious and upset because he feels like the moon has fallen in the pond, the silly sod. So he's doing all he can to try and fish it out, not knowing it's a reflection. And sometimes that's what our fears can feel like, you know. We put a lot of energy into things that, you know, are kind of futile, really, because they aren't what they seem. If we can just shift our perspective, you know, we won't be fishing out a reflection from a pond like Noddy, will we? I knew there was some sort of lesson in that story. I hope that made sense. Sunlight. I like how it's named after all the lights: starlight, moonlight, sunlight. That's the dawn of a new day. We have Pan here. That's really interesting. That's a nice character to have there, actually, even though he's a bit mischievous, isn't he? Well, he might not necessarily be Pan, to be fair. Let's call it Mr. Tumnus. He's a bit overall. Oh, mind you, he's a bit deceiving as well, isn't he? He means well, though. Yeah, I love that we have this mottled kind of light coming through. I love that. It just takes me to that beautiful energy when you're walking through forests and woods and you get that mottled daylight, or when you feel a bit lost and then you see the sun guiding your way. I like that happiness, that content feeling. You definitely get it there. What else have you got here? We have the Council of Animals, which is judgment. Very interesting. Oh, it's a bit foreboding, like they're all looking at us like the animals are farthing wood. God, it really is, isn't it, with the fox and the badger? That's cool. I feel a bit self-conscious looking at this, like I am being judged, which is interesting. I guess they're judging us on, you know, how have we gone through this forest so far, eh? Hopefully we've been ecologically friendly. Otherwise we're going to have a right hard time getting through that bear, that's for sure. That's very interesting. I like that. There's a bit of like a Jungle Book vibe there as well, even though, you know, we're in the wrong forest, but Judgment. I like that. That's interesting. And the wide world. I love that. We go back to that Fool there again, who's our character in the Fool. And he's stepped out now and he's showing us the wide world, like, you've done it, you've come through the other end with me. We set off on our adventure as the Fool together, and now look, we've made it to the meadows, on to the next. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I love that they've used the same character from the Fool in the wide world. I love that it's called the wide world as well. It makes it seem so expansive. I love that. It's beautiful. Okay. So guys, sorry about that. We had a bit of a nightmare with the filming there. If you could tell, it kept panning over to the right because I think our little hedgehog friend wanted to be the centre of attention. Must be a Leo. No, I'm joking. And as it's a first impressions, I don't really want to refilm that again. So I've just had to switch back to my sort of original kind of holder of the camera because it seems like the new one I had on my ring light just really wasn't strong enough to hold the camera's weight at that height. So I'm sorry about that, but let's keep going, shall we? We've made it to the minor arcana now, and look, a beautiful little fiery dragon friend here with the Ace of Spells, which I believe to be the suit of wands spells in this, which is very interesting why we chose spells. It'd be cool to really go through the book and see that, the sort of thought process behind that. Actually, I guess they have power. Okay, it's interesting that these are split into, this book actually goes in kind of, it goes through all the aces, all of the 10s, 9s, 8s, you know, that way is how it splits up, which is quite interesting actually. So it's taken more of a kind of shine to the numerological kind of groupings, which is very interesting actually. But I digress. Wands are spells. I'm not quite sure why yet. This is a first impression, so maybe if I go through this again with you a bit more in depth, we can kind of discover that together then. But I think it's something to do with, you know, our words have power, you know, the allure of the wands energy, you know, I always see it as quite sacral energy actually, which is interesting, creative energy. So I can see why spells kind of tie into that sort of manifestation, like kind of the words that a magician would be saying. And here we have the little dragon giving us that. It's almost like he's infusing this wand with magic and power, you know, to give us that chance to manifest for ourselves, which aces are an opportunity. So I love that. It's really sweet, and I love how we have the darkness in this side of the card, and then really all of that energy concentrated in the corner there. So we're going to go through aces like this. Oh, okay, we can go through it like that. That's cool. That's how this system has set up. So that's interesting. So now we make it onto the Ace of Visions, which is the Ace of Cups. Beautiful swan. I really like this. And we have this nod to almost like the Ugly Duckling kind of fairy tale here, where this swan is seeing themselves in the reflection, you know. It's almost like royalty. Ace of Visions. Now, cups is obviously something we relate to emotion, so visions is a very interesting word to kind of put alongside that. Visualizing things for ourselves. It's very interesting. For some reason, I feel like I would have put that more as a swords energy, but it'd be really interesting to look into. I do like this. It's almost like an opportunity for self-love, I'm seeing this as, to be honest, which is really interesting. Ace of Challenges, which I believe here is the swords energy. We have this sort of albino kind of crow, I guess, or just, I don't know if it's just a white crow with this spear. Again, we do get that sort of nod to that communication that can come in with the Ace of Swords here, an opportunity, a spark of an idea, you know. And kind of wisdom with the crow kind of donating that energy too. I really like the colours in this because it's kind of stepped away from the greens that we see quite a lot in this deck and into the blue, which is cool. What else have we got? the Ace of Boons, which I do believe to be Pentacles, if I am not mistaken. We have this toad creature. He looks like he's a little bit of a little stubborn creature, but he's not hoarding that ring. It's like he's presenting it to us, You definitely get that earthy energy off of this card for sure. It's really cool. I want to know the story behind this. Very fairy tale like. Then we move on to the twos. It actually gives a breakdown of what it believes like the twos mean. Here it says it actually of all the cards. If you can see, it's a wonderful book. You could say that the twos are really the first cards of the minor arcana, because this is where the stories start. Each of the twos show what you need to do first to do well with that particular suit. Whatever you will face in your journey through the forest, having the twos in your metaphorical backpack will serve you well. The two of spells says clarify your intention. The two of visions says open your heart. The two of challenges says know yourself. And the two of boons says balance your responsibilities. I like that, how it's really broken that down into quite simple kind of affirmations there. So that's really cool. So two of spells here. What has he got? Are these like runic kind of? Oh, they do look like them. They kind of organ kind of sticks and runes. That's interesting. Two of Wands, making a decision, I guess. Yeah, that's cool. Two of Cups. We do get that kind of soulmate kind of energy here. It's interesting characters, aren't they? I love that we have the two females in that. The two of Challenges, two of Swords here. Oh, we have like a magic mirror. That's very interesting. That's a bit different to what I would usually see the two of swords. And the two of boons, two of pentacles, you definitely get that balancing energy. And look, we even got this ogre under the bridge, so it's like, oh, he has to be aware of what he's doing. Like he might have to be prepared to lose one of them actually, because it looks like this guy's going to come for it, right? That's really cool. It does seem like he's could be losing his footing, although it could look like he is really balancing it well with that two of pentacles energy, to be fair. Decisions. Onto the three. Yes, she's setting her candles and all that energy off out into the world. That is that sort of expansion energy of the Three of Wands. I like that. I want to know why though. I do really want to know the stories behind these cards. It's going to be so fun to go through it because I love a storytelling deck. Three of Visions, yes, definitely get that Three of Cups kind of camaraderie, friendship, playful times there with our sort of three bears from Goldilocks. And Three of Swords. Oh, that's very interesting because we actually almost have, this is just like Hansel and Gretel where the father leaves them. This is the kind of fairy tale that I'm seeing here. They get left in the forest, and obviously that is quite heartbreaking. It's interesting how it's focused on this character, this sort of father figure here, and how heartbreaking that is potentially for him. I mean, they're getting left out in the cold. It'd be interesting to see if we see them in the Five of Pentacles actually, or the Five of Challenges. That would be a really cool follow on for this deck, I think. He does look quite upset, that character, doesn't he? And I guess we do get a lot of that mental energy, like that sort of, did I do the right thing? Was this a good thing to do? You know, the guilt side of being on the flip side of making a hard choice, I guess. We have the Three of Pentacles. Yeah, we've got people working together to create a spell, almost like a witch we have here with her kind of familiar and her kind of companion in that little kind of elfish or goblin kind of creature there. Bit of Dobby. Like that. Onto the fours now. Four of Wands, we definitely have that kind of content, almost family, like celebratory kind of fairy kind of energy off of this. It's really beautiful. I love the colours. They're very serene. It's very sweet, like they're going to that, we get that sort of, you know, like we have in the typical Rider-Waite as well energy. of this sort of space that you can go that's kind of quite homely, content, like a fairy circle it looks like, doesn't it? Four of Cups, we do get that despondency, kind of boredom energy here. Maybe not seeing everything, you know, he does look like he's in quite a beautiful place. There's a kingfisher here. Is that kingfisher? Dragonflies. These are animals that donate kind of a lot of kind of quite good energy, so he's missing them, which is interesting. Definitely sulking there, isn't he? Wonder what his story is. We have the Four of Challenges, so we have the Four of Swords now. Interesting, we just have this lone tree kind of growing amongst all these sort of dead trees. That's interesting. The Four of Swords. It's usually rest. I guess maybe it's had its time to heal and kind of regain its strength, maybe. That's interesting. Four of Boons. Yes, she's hoarding these pies, isn't she? She doesn't look too pleased with this one who's run off with one, does she? Who ate all the pies. Five of Spells. Interesting. We do get that sort of conflict, competition energy here, like people being turned into frogs. They're having some sort of battle via the wands. They're all in different positions, giving up, some of them despondent, some are very enthralled, some are like about to get changed into frogs. It looks like they're practicing though, doesn't it? Which I feel like the Five of Wands can definitely speak to, is that sort of learning how to hold your own as well through that sort of competitive kind of study. Five of Cups. Okay, so she's lost something. It's rolling into the pond with our Mr. Froggy there. Interesting for the Five of Cups, actually. Trying to see what I'm intuitively getting off of that. Because usually we get that energy of, you know, 3 spilt cups and 2 left behind, like missing out on that. Maybe she's not seeing an opportunity here because she's too busy running after this. We've got the Five of Swords here. Oh, this giant has uprooted a tree. It's like, at what cost have you done this? Five of Swords energy, that speaks a lot to that. Like, you may have won something, but at what cost? And he's like, uprooted this tree. What did he need it for? Was it worth killing a tree for? Who knows? Five of Pentacles. This does look like we've gone back to those two characters, isn't it? Hansel and Gretel, where they're left out in the cold, abandoned. And is this the cottage that they need to find? Or is this the home they've had to leave? That's very interesting. I'm glad that we saw them again. The Six of Spells, which is the Six of Wands. That's really cool. We have this baby dragon that's hatched, and that's sort of meant to be victory, success, and it is. It reminds me of Hagrid, you know, when he's hatched his kind of dragon, and all these wizards, they look really happy that they're there. Maybe this is like, you know, been a long time since we've had a successful hatchling. You know, dragons are very rare, so, you know, of course they're happy and it's a victory. That's really cool. Six of Cups. We get a very nostalgic, childlike energy off of this, don't we? She's here almost reading fairy tales with all these fairy tale companions around her. Even a fairy definitely takes you back to kind of childhood, all that sentimental energy. I like that. We have a Six of Swords here now. Oh, she's in a tight spot, isn't she? She's up a tree. She's found safe passage, I guess, away from these wolves, and I guess that is what the Six of Swords is about, but it still doesn't look like she's fully found a way out of this situation just yet. But she has made her way out of a difficult place, being down there with them, I guess. Six of Pentacles. I guess they're sharing warmth, so we do get that sort of give and take energy, you know. She's with the bunnies with her, they're helping each other stay warm, I guess. That's quite interesting. Although, you know, again, sometimes you can see it a bit unbalanced, the Six of Pentacles, in terms of the energy of who's giving and who's receiving. But this one seems quite balanced, I would say, even though, you know, she may have more opportunity as a human than they do. Seven of Spells, back to Seven of Wands. Yeah, we see these gnomes defending their lands. We do get that defensive energy, those creating boundaries, making sure this dragon knows its place. You definitely see that. I love that we actually have do we have 7? Oh no, there's 8. It would have been cool if there was just 7 of them. 7 of Cups. We do get that sort of dreamy illusion energy off of that, which I always get a bit for 7 of Cups, to be honest. We do get choice because we have all these different kind of things being provided for us. It reminds me a little bit of Wizard of Oz for some reason. It also looks like we're looking in a sort of scrying kind of mirror, like a kind of bowl here as well. What are you going to choose? What fate are you going to choose? Looking at all these options down the line. That's cool, and I like that. That's, you know, really pays into that visions renaming here. Actually, we got the 7 of Swords. Yes, sneaky sly. You couldn't get more kind of crafty than a fox, could you? They've stolen everything from this traveling band, it seems. Not just the food. They've stolen money, an accordion, a teacup, everything but food, it seems. They're very well trained foxes, aren't they? To what end, though? That'd be interesting to find out. So we've got the 7 of Pentacles. That's usually a waiting energy. This is very interesting that we have all these different doors, because we get that choice element again, like we would get with the 7 of Cups. That's quite interesting for the 7 of Pentacles, though. What door to go through? Maybe it's a kind of, you know, I don't know why. I'm just thinking of people have to knock on doors to kind of sell things, you know. It's a bit of a task, isn't it? But you never know what treasure you might find behind one of these doors. You have to make sure you just go through all of them, you know, and that is a bit of a waiting game, isn't it? That's interesting. Or a waiting game to get on the property ladder, even in the Enchanted Forest, it seems. The 8 of Spells. Interesting. We definitely do get that communication, that fast flying communication with the 8 of Wands here. The owls, that's really interesting because they are messenger birds also, aren't they? So yeah, definitely that fast energy and that communication energy there, very strong with that 8 of Spells, 8 of Wands. 8 of Visions. So we have the 8 of Cups here, which can be, again, that sort of deciding to move on and step into something new. It's really interesting because I don't know if we have different figures in this or different iterations of the same person. It seems like they've been lost at a certain point, or they've been trying to find their way through the forest, and as they've got to this sort of crone phase now, they look quite solid in where they're going, like they've almost accepted and surrendered and are just moving forward. That's really interesting. Or you could look at it as going the other way, actually. That's very interesting. Some food for thought. That I love that we have lots of different expressions as well. That's cool. The 8 of Challenges. Oh yeah, we definitely get that very like entangled, enmeshed kind of feeling of the 8 of Swords here again. The figure not being able to kind of open their eyes and kind of see that they can break themselves free of these things. They're just thoughts usually that are limiting you. But here she's really caught up in the brambles and it looks like she's despairing, and that is what the 8 of Swords, 8 of Challenges energy can feel like. So it does capture that very well. We are seeing the Rider-Waite Smith in this, which is really interesting. Even though there's some deviations, it's cool to have those familiar kind of images to fall back on. 8 of Boons, 8 of Pentacles. Yes, we have a sort of craftsman here. Not sure what she's weaving, but she's, you know, very focused, that's for sure. It's really cool. That hard work, that perfecting your craft energy. the 9 of spells, back to that wands energy. It looks like she's like using up a lot of energy to do this, isn't it? And 9 of Wands is kind of like that last stand kind of energy sometimes, and this almost looks like she's creating a protective circle, which is interesting. So it'd be nice to know what the story behind this is. What is she trying to kind of do right here? She's definitely mustering up a lot of energy in which to do it, and there's all these sort of eyes looking at her from the darkness. The 9 of Cups, a wish. I like this because it's literally flicking a coin into a wishing well. That's beautiful. That really plays into that kind of interpretation of the 9 of Cups. I like that a lot. Creating this abundance for yourself. Maybe this person already has abundance because they have coins. 9 of Challenges. We have the 9 of Swords here. We do definitely get that sort of nightmarish, can't sleep energy, but here it looks for quite good reason, not just insomnia. He's kind of out here in some sort of, almost like, you know, that scene where the hobbits are hiding from the ring wraiths, you know, under the tree. That's what it seems like. We have this sort of devilish looking tree character here who our kind of little fellow looks a bit scared of, and obviously it's nighttime. Everything seems, you know, a bit more despairing in the dark, doesn't it? Especially if we're in kind of these dark thoughts in our own minds, and that's what the 9 of Swords speaks to a lot of the time. So we definitely get that energy. That's really cool. 9 of Pentacles. Yes, we get that lovely kind of independent energy here. You know, she's made her kind of homestead, you know, got her garden, she's looking after the animals, looks very content, almost looks like a career woman, you know, if what a career woman would look like in the Enchanted Forest, I guess. You know, she looks like she's doing well for herself and she's content. I like that energy. Got the 10 of Spells now. That's interesting. We have all these kind of young women making their way through. Some are despairing. Have they got lost? But is this the end of their travels now? They've got lost in the Enchanted Forest, maybe. They're trying to find their way through. And you got some that are trying to encourage others. That's interesting. I think the 10 of Spells, the 10 of Wands can be a kind of call to kind of lean on other people sometimes when burdens are feeling too much. So I like that it's giving you that that sort of advice within the imagery in the card. I like that. I've got the 10 of Cups. Oh, we have this beautiful unicorn family here. Very magical, very beautiful, very serene. Definitely speaks to all those sort of kind of beautiful things to do with the 10 of Cups, you know. Family, love, content, you know. Keeping that magic alive in your life, having somewhere safe to go, you know, because unicorns are such a rarity, you know, and to have like a family unit is so special. And that feeling can feel so special when we're in that 10 of Cups moments in our own life. 10 of Challenges here. Yes, he really does look like his sword is broken. This old warrior looks like he's reached the end of his tether, really. He's very tired. He's very worn out. You know, he's having to take some rest. But he's still here. He's still alive. He's still kicking, you know. That's what the 10 of Swords reminds us. It's the end, you know. He's come to the end of whatever battle he's been in, and he's feeling the despair from it, and it's okay to sit there and feel that. But you can get back up again. He still has his horse companion there, you know. Got the 10 of Pentacles. Yeah, we definitely get that lovely sort of celebratory kind of doing well as a kind of unit, you know. Not only in business, but in family too. I love this community kind of aspect here of celebration and abundance. I love that. We've got the Child of Spells, which is going to be the Pages. This is really interesting. It's almost like he's got the little wand that's from the Ace of Spells, so that's cool, but it's not quite lit for him yet. He's got this sort of little rabbit companion as well. I always see the kind of Page of Wands as a bit cheeky, and I like that he's a little redhead and he looks a bit cheeky here, to be honest. He looks like he's got a bit of magic coming out towards that rabbit, so what's he doing with it? That's what I'd like to know. They are creative little folks, aren't they? I've got the Page of Cups. It's very loving looking child, like running through the rain. Seems like they're having a nice time. Seem very innocent, very joyful, very yeah, very in love with life, which really does speak to that kind of Page of Cups energy, I think. It looks like she's got some news to tell you as well, which, you know, they always come across as messengers for me, pages, so that's really interesting. We got the Page of Swords. Yep, definitely got that thinking energy here. The more studious child is philosophizing, you know, thinking about what their next move could be, where they want to go, what they want to learn. They look slightly a bit older than the others, which is interesting because I do see more maturity in the Page of Swords than I do in any of the other pages, which is really cool. I like that. It'd be good to see how that sort of evolves into the Knight. And we have the Child of Pentacles, which looks like Hansel from Hansel and Gretel, where he's found the kind of gingerbread house, isn't it? And he's willing to take that risk and that opportunity. Or he's just like a Taurian that wants food, which sort of is the material world as well, taking that risk in the material world. And I guess food is part of that, you know, seeing a sort of opportunity. I'm trying to remember the fairy tale, if it is the boy that kind of convinces, I think it is him actually, who gets quite enthralled. So again, still that page energy, not experienced enough to know that you shouldn't be going into strangers' houses, but willing to sort of take that sort of risk for a sort of material gain, you know. He's been out in the cold, he wants to go inside and eat. The Seeker. Oh, I like how knights are called seekers actually. That really harks back to them as a sort of explorer, and I like that. That's very, very interesting. Seeker of spells. So this Knight of Wands, it's like she's gone off on an adventure to find this magical flower, you know. I love how they all have red hair. That's really cool. Got a fox companion here. She's made her way here by herself. Definitely that adventurer kind of tenacious energy that we would get from the Knight of Wands. I like that boldness, that braveness. We have the Knight, we have the Knight of Cups. Look at him, really looks like a romantic, doesn't he? Very, you know, a musician we have here playing a harp. Very gentle, very sweet, very romantic. Really just wanting to kind of hone their creative kind of musical crafts, kind of speak to you through their music. That's really cool. I like that. I like when music is kind of paired with cups energy actually. Oh, we have the Knight of Swords. He looks a bit foreboding, doesn't he? Very straight to the point, like very direct energy I'm getting from this, which is pretty much what we see with the Knight of Swords, to be honest. Usually we see him running really fast on his horse, but this guy's almost already done that, made his way to where he needs to be. It's like, hey, this is my proposition. Very confident, very capable. I like that. Maybe a little bit harsh in some ways because we have all this kind of darker energy too, which can be, you know, they can be a bit rash, can't they? A bit unthinking at times. Next we have the Knight of Pentacles, or the Seeker of Boons. We get that slower energy because this is someone who's willing to walk and hike. She's got like a cane to help her walk, and it's like she's been trekking up a kind of, you know, hillside to find something in specific, which is whatever this is under this tree. That's really cool. That's very Knight of Pentacles, like slow, methodic, kind of reliable energy, getting to where you need to be but still moving forward. It might be a long slog, but you'll get there. I like that. Hard-working energy. We've got the Weaver now, so this is the Queens. This is interesting that they're weavers. I like that sort of nod to the sort of craftsmanship of a queen. That's interesting. Yeah, we definitely get that sort of Queen of Wands energy of her. Look how alluring she is. Kind of, she's a dancer. She's quite magical by the looks of it. Very beautiful. Very alluring. Your eyes fully drawn to her, you know, passionate person by the looks of it, all these colours they're using, and that sort of orange sacral kind of energy. I like that. Next we have the Queen of Cups, almost like a mer person. That's very interesting, but she might be transforming as she gets onto land. Sort of nod to that sort of the Queens of the Cups when they're, you know, needing to get more to that balance level with emotion, to be honest, trying to walk them two paths, you know, but very loving, very tender people. I like that. It looks like a very giving pose that she's in as well, which the Queen of Cups can be very nurturing. Oh, we got the Ice Queen for the Queen of Swords, or Weaver of Challenges. Definitely looks like the Snow Queen, doesn't she? I love that she's got her crow with her. I love that she's in the winter part of the Enchanted Forest. She looks very stoic, very like she'll slice you down with her words, but very regal as well, and noble and wise. Bit cold maybe, potentially callous, which, you know, can be the shadow side of that. And now we have our Weaver of Boons, which is our Queen of Pentacles. How beautiful is she? She almost looks like a little hobbit woman, doesn't she? Like inviting you in, you know, here, I'm going to cook you some dinner, a nice hot meal. Or she's sending you on your way, you know, sending her husband on his way, or sending her kids on their way and saying, don't forget your packed lunch, or I've got this for you. You know, or a master kind of herbalist who's kind of helping you out. Very nurturing energy. Like she might own a business where she sells kind of herbs and stuff. I get that from her. Witchy kind of vibes, you know. That's really like a green witch. That's really cool. Very down to earth, you know. We see she's not even wearing shoes, you know. Very in touch with the kind of 3D world, you know, and nature. And I really do see that with the Queen of Pentacles. Now we move on to our kings, which are the Keeper. That's interesting. I like how they're called Keeper. Keeper of spells. Oh, this King of Wands looks fiery, doesn't he? Very passionate. He's using like fire magic. He's got, you know, it's a dragon actually that he has there with him. That's cool. And to be able to kind of work with dragons is quite difficult. So he's definitely mastered his kind of craft in that sense. He looks very strong, very capable, very alluring again, which I always think of with the King of Wands. He doesn't look too scary though, which is good. I like that. I love it. So the Keeper of Visions is an actual fish, just solidly being able to kind of really dive deep into the emotions and be very balanced. That's interesting that we've just completely taken away the human element for it. That's really cool. I guess when I think of King of Cups anyway, I do think of very Piscean energy and Cancer kind of energy, so that's interesting. With the fish being there, really being able to navigate them waters of the emotion there. That's really cool. Keeper of Challenges, so we have the King of Swords. Definitely got that wise kind of old figure here. He could have been a wizard maybe, potentially. He's got this sort of bird sort of skull as his kind of cane or his kind of staff there. He's deep in thought. He's kind of nestled in an old kind of tree, like an oak tree or something. Very grounded, very rooted, very thinker posy, philosophizing. That's really cool. We definitely get that energy from him, wise energy. And last but not least, we have our Keeper of Boons, which is our King of Pentacles. He really does look like a jolly fellow who's done quite well for himself. He looks like he's mined a lot of gems there and doing really good with it, but also, you know, seems like quite a generous and caring person. He's got a badger asleep on his lap there, you know, and I always see that with the King of Pentacles. I see it not just as a greedy sort of materialistic person, but someone, you know, who's got business kind of is very astute in business, but it's almost what's the word? Philanthropic. A philanthropist alongside that, you know, gives back, is generous, likes a good time here on the earth, likes, you know, expensive things, but is willing to kind of share in that, you know, and I definitely get that energy from him. So guys, that was it. That was the first impressions and walkthrough of the Forest of Enchantment tarot. I really hope you enjoyed that. Just quick little kind of flick through there and a little kind of talk. Once again, I just really want to thank Sandi from Exploring Tarot for gifting me this deck. I'm honestly so taken aback by that. It's such a kind, generous thing to do, and I really, you know, I can't, you know, show my gratitude enough, honestly, guys. check out her channel, it's fantastic. Check out her Instagram and check out her shop when it comes, because she's really great at crafting and she's been making some amazing tarot bags that you really need to get your hands on, honestly. So definitely, and check out her series on this deck. I shall post the links in the description for you all to find. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think of this deck, if you have it, how you use it. I'm so excited to give it some study. It definitely seems like it's not going to be too difficult, because there are a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith elements kind of in this deck, which is really handy. You know, I do like that. It's it's enough of a deviation to be interesting, but kind of comforting enough that it kind of has a lot of those nods to the RWS, and I really do appreciate that. I'll let you know how I get on with it. So yeah, if you like the content, give it a thumbs up. You know, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. You know, it'd be lovely to have you at the Treehouse long term. The community is growing. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.